Welcome back to Anderson Acres. We're here outside today because we are putting up a chicken coop. Now, if you were with us when we were at our old location, you know that we had a separate building for our birds. Here we haven't had that yet, so we are going to start putting one up. And we are actually using, you might be able to tell by the panels, a greenhouse. And I know there will be concerns, oh, they'll get too hot. We have that handled, don't worry about it. We have it handled, we're fine. So, what we're going to do is I'm just going to kind of document the process at each step. I'm not going to film as we're putting it together because that's annoying. But right now we have our kit opened. We've accounted for all the parts. We are ready to start building. And the first thing we did is we're going to put it right here. So the first thing we did is use panels to block off underneath the barn, because we do not want anyone coming in from the other side of the barn, and we've laid wire along the ground just so if there's anything like a fox or anything, they can't dig in to the barn. Anyway, we will come back when we have our next step done, which is building the base. All right, so we have got the greenhouse partially assembled. Obviously not all the parts because some of the parts are here, but we've got most of the walls done. Well, we've got all of the walls done. We still have the door to do, and we have to do the roof vent, but everything else is currently done. You will notice we have left a panel out of here. That's on purpose. Okay, so we did not put a panel here on purpose. You will see why as we add the walls of the run for the chickens to hang out in. And several people are going to ask me, is this okay? Is it going to get too hot? It's not going to get too hot. 1, roof vent. 2, this door's going to be open a lot because the birds are going to be free ranging. 3, there's a bird right there. And Pippin. Hi. Where'd you come from? Yeah? You pretty? Okay. Anyway. But we're also leaving this panel off so there'll be a lot of air circulation. So what do we have to do? We have to do the vent. We have to do the door. We have to add, because the barn is not entirely level, there is a bit of a gap here. So we're just going to slide some wood in there and secure it. And then we are going to secure the aluminum to the wood. But we don't need to worry about that too much. We just need to get some wood in there. And that won't take us very long. And then we're going to start building the walls of the run. And Pippin's currently in there. And yes, we have made sure that there is wire on the bottom so that nothing can come in from underneath the barn. And we will be building the walls shortly. So you will see progress as we complete that. Hopefully it's done by the end of the week, because we have birds who want to get in here and you came back. You never know. Sometimes you need birds. There she goes. She's leaving. Anyway. Doesn't matter. Anyway, that is our progress on our greenhouse. No, we're not worried about it being too hot in the summer. But yes, because we're going to close the vents off, it will be fairly warm in the winter, or at least warmer than it is outside. We'll check back on our progress as we go. Okay, so we have built the run, and it took me a little while to film this segment because I just wasn't in the mood to film the run. But we did put up the run, and I will explain how we built it. I didn't film the actual building because it's actually really simple. So you basically just use 2x4s, and you construct whatever shape you want, however high. This is 6 feet high. This wall is 12 feet long. That one's 8 feet long. But basically, you just build the wall you want. You put, this is netting, but you put wire on, and then you use 1x2s to hold that wire on. Don't just use staples. Either use another piece of wood to sandwich that wire in between, or you want to use washers and screws. If you use staples, it'll keep your birds in, but predators are going to be able to just destroy your run. You can see where Arwen's been leaning on it. It has held up to her leaning because it is secured with the 1x2s. So you do want to make sure you either use wood to secure your wire, or you want to use washers and screws. Either way, you want to make sure this wire can't come off. Yes, we used a larger wire because this is for adult birds. So this is not for babies, because it's not for babies, and because we don't have to worry too much about rodents and stuff, because the cats can still get in here. They go up high and they can get in. So we don't have to worry about rodents. We don't have any predators that can really go through wire like this. And this is just their nighttime pen anyway. Like, these guys are only... I have the door shut right now because I want them to stay in for filming. But generally they're not locked in here all day. So they don't really need to worry too much about small wire. They can't escape. Nothing can get them. Our biggest problems are foxes and coyotes. So that's what we're keeping out. If you have a problem with critters that can get through wire like this and they're killing your birds, you're going to have to go over that wire with a smaller wire. So use the wire that's appropriate for your situation. Over the top, we don't have wire. We just have bird netting. It's literally just bird netting. Because we don't have anyone who's going to climb 6-foot walls to get to them. But we do have, like, owls. So that just stops the owls from getting in there. We don't want the owls in there. Because we have actually a lot of owls. And we don't want owls in there destroying everything, getting all our birds and killing we don't want that. So we're just making sure that that can't happen by making sure we have a top on. Some people don't put a top on because they're not that worried, but we have a lot of owls. So we are protecting from the aerial predators that way. And we did use black wire. I'm really liking black wire because from a distance, so when you stand back, if I back off, it is really a whole lot easier to see through a black wire than it is to see through a silver wire. The silver wire kind of blocks your view. That's why we replaced the rabbit fencing and everything with a black wire, because I can actually see the animals when I back off a little bit. So it just gives me a better view. I can monitor everyone better. And you just have to make sure, yes, this corner's off kilter. We will fix that, but I just didn't care that much. I just wanted to get the pen up. So we will fix that by digging down a little bit to drop that wall, but we just wanted to get it up. So ideally, we would drop that wall, and we are going to, just by digging out here and dropping the wall a little bit. We are also going to add things like roosting bars. There's a couple of nesting boxes in there. So we are going to add that right away. We just haven't done that yet. But it's really easy to construct these pens. I would recommend, up in the corners, you'll see we have these angle braces. That just helps keep everything square. I do recommend doing that. You're going to have like scraps of your 2x4. So because you have hi. Yeah, you're a nice guy. But because you'll have scraps of your 2x4, you just cut angled pieces 45 degrees on the corners and shove them into the corners. We have them on the tops and the bottoms. It just helps keep everything square so your run is a little more sturdy. I do recommend that. Does it take a little bit extra time? Sure. But it also gives you a better, more secure, stable, straighter run. So I do recommend that. These walls are 6 feet high. I drop it down to a smaller height when I get into the trees if I need to. And we are going to expand back into the trees so these animals have the ability to wander in the trees, but in a fenced-in way. So we are going to be doing that as well. But this is just our starter run because we haven't been on this property very long and it didn't really have a chicken place. We are going to expand it, and we don't have all our birds in here. These are just the birds that we wanted in here. We do have plenty of free-ranging birds out in the bush. There's a couple right there. But we do want to keep some of them separated, some of them a little more safe, and the ducks are in here as well, just because the ducks are kind of weird. And that chicken is sleeping. Not dead, I promise. Anyway, that is basically how you go about using a greenhouse as the shelter and then adding a run. It is really easy to do. We just screwed it straight into the wall over there. And over here we just used a couple of 2x4s. Just a couple of 2x4s so that we could attach it to the wall over there, just so that it's all nice and stable. So it's really easy to do. You do need a little bit of skill. You have to be able to use a drill and use a saw. But other than that, it's really, really easy. Okay, you don't really have to worry too much. They won't get too hot because of all the ventilation, and we can close that vent in the wintertime so they are a little warmer. and we can have that hole so that they still can come and go and they still have plenty of ventilation, but they don't get cold, because this will trap heat once we close up the top vent. It'll start trapping heat, and that'll give them a little bit more warmth in the winter, which works really well because it's really cold here and I don't use supplemental heat. But outside of that, this works really, really well. I do recommend it if it works for you. We did not have trouble putting the greenhouse together. I know some people have, but it was really easy for us. And this is all just 2x4s and 1x2s from the lumber store, and then I got the wire off Amazon. I really do recommend the black wire. It costs a couple of dollars more per roll. I think it's worth it. So yes, you should go with the black wire if you can. Yes, you can paint your wire black. Plenty of people have done that, but it ends up costing the same. So buying the paint to paint your wire black ends up costing the same. So if you're buying new wire, just buy it black to start with. If you are not buying new wire and just painting the wire you've got, then buy yourself a little can of paint and a roller. Don't use spray paint. Spraying wire wastes a lot of material. So buy a little can, get yourself a roller, and paint your wire if you can, because I really do recommend the black wire. So that is basically how we added a little chicken house and our run for our chickens. So hopefully you can do this yourself if it works for you. It is an idea anyway, and it just keeps everybody safe, keeps everyone located in one spot when I don't want them free ranging, but still allows us to open that door and let them out when we want. That's about it for us here today at Anderson Acres. See you tomorrow.